for me, it was both the positive and the negative consequences of mobility in the first place. With mobility, of course, we all know it's our basis for everyday life. We need it. We needed to exchange ideas. We needed to exchange stories, to meet different cultures and so on. So there is a very positive aspect to mobility, of course. On the other hand, however, we all know about the negative consequences of mobility. So although it offers us exchange and so on, it's always connected to greenhouse gas emissions. It's always connected to land use. It's always attached to also providing mobility for all, which we currently do not really have in some contexts. So this positive and negative consequences brought me into the idea of researching mobility platforms, also called mobility as a service, and how these interact in different cities and interact also with different built environments and infrastructure components to really understand what we can do to make such an offer, such a platform work in modern cities and also work for all. In the first place, I wanted to analyze how different shared services interact on one mobility as a service offer in certain bundles. So mobility as a service bundles are kind of offers that combine several different modes into one bundle. As you know it, for example, from mobile phone options, so you book a certain amount of minutes per month or so. And with mobility as a service bundles, it's almost the same. So you book a certain kilometers of car sharing a month, a certain public transport pass, and so on. You pay a monthly subscription fee, and then you can use this kind of service. And the question I wanted to answer is how this integration of several modes, shared e-scooters, ride pooling, and so on, interact with each other. So these modes in one bundle, how they interact with each other. And then in the next step, how these bundles then interact with the cities and the infrastructure that is already out there in the cities. Because at the moment we have a certain infrastructure, and just completely rebuilding it wouldn't make sense from an economic and also from an ecological point of view. So we need to play with that, what we currently have. And so the question was how to interact these two, the city characteristics and the new offer as a MaaS bundle, into each other to find out how this can work best for all and also environmentally. As I need data to analyze how mobility platforms work and who can use it for which circumstances and which modes are perfect to integrate on a mobility platform, working as a mobility as a service platform, the first thing is I needed to ask people how they would like the service to look like. And so I developed in a team a questionnaire that included all the mobility offers, that included the mobility tools people were holding and so on, the current mobility behavior. And to get the city infrastructure into the data, I then had to look at another bigger data set that I could merge into one then in the end to see how cities we analyzed or I analyzed look like and which infrastructures they already have and how good they are. So basically it was a merging process from data from respondents, so travelers, and data from cities and infrastructures. So I collected this from respondents and surveys. And then of course, after you have the data, you need to analyze it. And I analyzed it towards how these different infrastructures impact the choice for people to actually use mobility as a service offers, and which modes in these offers are crucial to make them attractive for people. And this can be modes such as shared e-scooters, ride pooling, car sharing, shared bikes, and so on. So the whole bunch of things we see out there today. And then in the end, of course, because it must have some kind of reason to do that all, I then developed also in the team with the other authors implications for policy and practice about how to best integrate these modes into a mobility as a service platform and to see which infrastructure components are crucial. And as we saw, a good infrastructure on the public transport side and a good infrastructure on the shared mobility side is absolutely crucial to make mobility as a service work in the end. We also saw that MaaS is particularly interesting and attractive in cities that already have a well-developed public transport system. So basically what we learned is MaaS cannot be a replacement for public transport systems, but it is a complement, and it needs a good and strong public transport system in the first place to operate successfully. I think there's of course always a way to make things better. It's with everything in life. So I think mobility as a service has the great potential to actually integrate various modes into one offer. That's the core idea of MaaS. And this makes it easier for people to actually book journeys and to look for information about certain journeys. So I think MaaS can be a crucial element here to actually make mobility easier and not having to look at various different sources of information. Second, I think we need a strong, and this is what our research showed, a strong and modern public transport system. That's absolutely crucial. And the public transport operators should see the shared mobility services as a complement and vice versa. Because only if these two groups interact with each other, we get a good access to public transport, a good egress from public transport and so on. So I think these two groups really need to interact with each other and find ways of working together in a successful way. And finally, the focus on urban areas is very important because there are a lot of trips in urban areas, but we also see all the long distance trips that are in suburban areas or between cities and so on. And here we really need to see and analyze how we can make MaaS use for this kind of trips as well, because here we of course also have quite big greenhouse gas emission reduction potentials and land use reduction potentials and so on. So we need to focus on these areas as well. I think the Young Researcher Award is a great opportunity to get some fresh ideas from young people into the transport community and see how young people think, what topics they have in mind and what they think is crucial to solve in the current transportation system world. And so I think really getting these ideas into the community and out there is, I think, a very nice idea and very important to reflect and also think further for further ideas in the future.